How are you, Thomas?
Rich, I am great. Thanks for having me. You are not on speakerphone.
I know. You know what? And I appreciate that. You speakerphoned me for what? The first 2 or 3 conversations we had, right? I mean, that was a power move, Thomas.
Yeah, I feel bad about it, and I will never live it down. And anytime anyone does that, I footnote you, so at least you're getting some advertising on that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's one of the things you picked up from Belichick, right? From back in the day. Right?
No, I didn't. That was of my own feelings.
You're on Bluetooth, Rich.
That's right. I'm being Bluetooth right now. So, Thomas, what you frequently join our program at points of the NFL calendar outside of the playing season. What does a general manager do right here in the middle of June? What is part of your role right now?
Well, we're right in the middle of minicamp today, so this is kind of the final throes of this season. It's been a really long season, as you know. We'll take it any day. Right? It's a challenge adjusting when you've been in the Super Bowl, right? And any of those people who have been in it, of course, they realize that. So it's been a long season. Dan is so high, he's such an upbeat guy, so competitive, so fiery that this building has not really come down from when we finished the Super Bowl to free agency and the draft. It's been busy here, so we're all looking forward to the last practice and getting out and taking a little bit of R&R before we can get back here and be fired up for the season.
And again, this is the part of the year where everyone takes are you taking an actual vacation, like an actual not doing anything with football vacation, Thomas?
I will. I think my biggest thing right now is focused on trying to get out to Colorado a little bit. As you know, I spend a lot of time out there when I can. I still have a home out in Boulder and really enjoy it. I'd get out in the mountains quite a bit. It's good for me. I need my head to be cleared. I love getting on my bike and love hiking, do a little bit of rock climbing. Although I'm not supposed to share that, right? It's probably in my contract somewhere where I shouldn't do hazardous jobs.
I don't know if that's in a GM rider. I don't think that's in the rider of a general manager contract, Thomas.
That's right.
I mean, I haven't read.
Asked me about. I have a motorcycle, actually. I hate to say that, but
oh boy.
I was at a speaking engagement the other day, and it came up, and I thought, okay, that's all I need, Arthur, to renege on the contract because I'm out on my Harley Davidson or something. It's probably not the best thing to be doing.
Now, it was an interesting week there in Atlanta where there was a ceremony for Roddy White and Michael Vick. Had I told you back in the throes of when everything was going down with Vick and the dogfighting and what was going on with the organization, that Mr. Blank would welcome Michael Vick back to the organization in a way where they fed him, what would you have said about that, Thomas?
Well, I think, as you know, we came in here. That was when Smitty and I came in. We were told to clean things up. So, of course, that would have been a surprise to me. And but time heals, right? And Arthur is obviously a very classy gentleman and very, as you know, he's a very soulful guy. And he's a guy that's going to look at things and he's going to make sure he analyzes it properly. And he feels very strongly about doing what he did and what we did as an organization. So yes, I think back then I would have said that, but as we've been interacting with Michael here and there over the last probably year or two, I realize that there's a real bond there.
And so where do you think this can lead? Because I know Michael wants to be involved with the team in a way of coaching. Do you think this can lead to a greater relationship between the franchise and Michael, Thomas?
I don't necessarily know from a franchise standpoint. I know that Arthur, of course, Arthur's a very successful businessman and has a number of businesses. So I'm sure they'll continue to talk about, if there's any sort of involvement at some level. I don't know necessarily from an organization football side. I've not heard anything about that at this point.
Thomas Dimitroff, Falcons general manager, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Dontari Poe, that's another piece of news this week, made $125K by making weight. Is that truly an effective way to get guys in shape? Do you think, Thomas? Put a price tag on it.
I do. I think it is. I think we don't think that much about it in today's world. We have a lot of really athletic guys here, as you know. That's Dan's approach and our approach here, and so we really don't have that much of an issue. Our situation with Dontari is, he was 55 probably. He's a pretty big 355. That is, he was a pretty big guy, as you know, and we're more of a one gap scheme. He's a heck of an athlete. When you watch him move out there between 245 and 35, I mean, it is really impressive. So we really like our guys to be as lean as they can without losing the power and the girth that they need. And we're really excited where he is right now. It is effective for us to keep him in that role. in that mode of being that weight, that's where he's going to be the most effective for us. And as you know, this is a crossroads season for him. We got him on a 1-year deal, and we're really excited to see where he is at this point.
So how do you choose the weight? You talk about it with the coaching staff and figure out that you come up with a number and it goes right in the contract. Does the agent then come back and then go 10 pounds higher? I mean, seriously, is there a back and forth on something like that?
That's a great question. Usually what it is it's the head coach and the general manager will sit down with our athletic performance people, and we'll talk about ideal weights. We kind of knew where we thought, after watching him a lot video-wise, and in his games, where we thought he would be effective. We never wanted him to do something unrealistic like trying to get down to 320 or 310. We knew it was going to be within, 20 or something pounds, and that's kind of where our focus was. It wasn't that difficult. It really does come down to the head coach and the general manager discussing it. And usually an agent will chime in. The only time the agent will have an issue is when it's unrealistic, right? They want to make sure that their player has an opportunity to make an extra few bucks and hopefully benefit the team.
Speaking of agents, I mean, Devonta Freeman's agent spoke out during the Super Bowl, and I'm sure that didn't sit well with the organization. And now here we are getting set to go to the break, and Devonta Freeman's still in a walk year. Do you plan on addressing this in training camp at all, Thomas?
I mean, yes. I mean, our desire is, like we've done with a number of our pillar players over the years. I mean, we did it with Matt, we did it with Julio. We're big believers in making sure that going into camp, our goal would be to be approaching this going into camp. It would be nice to have it done before training camp starts. If not, hopefully continue to work on it through the preseason and finalize it. It's something, we like him a lot. I think he represents us well, right? He's a very urgent runner. He's fast. He's quick twitch. He runs, with again, appropriately angry. What does he call it? Disrespectful way, in the right way, of course. And that's what we're looking for here. So we really would like him to be here for years to come, and we're confident we can get it done.
Well, in terms of what's being discussed in the National Football League right now, I know he's not a member of your team. Odell Beckham Jr., he's got a couple of years left on his deal. Le'Veon Bell is being franchise tagged right now when he came out of Michigan State in 2013. What is the philosophy in NFL front offices why it is for most players a non-starter to discuss a new contract when there's more than 1 year left on the deal? Thomas.
We've had a lot of conversations about that because there were waves of people in the past, and some people we all know are some are in the business, some aren't in the business. They thought get the deals done 2 and 3 years early. In the end, you save more money. I'm a big believer in, quite honestly, in today's NFL, we are much more a win-win negotiation approach. It is not trying to get one over on the team or get one over on the player. That's not what we're looking for. We want our players to be in a good spot so that they're not, of course, moaning about not getting rewarded and paid properly. Of course, we want to make sure that we're not being taken advantage of. So we're really big on focusing on the market, and the best way to focus on the market is with 1 year left. You start doing it 2 and 3 years out. Our feeling is on it, Rich, respectfully to the people that can do it, and there are opportunities to do it. By the time their contract comes up again, very rarely are they living out that contract, and within 2 years they're talking about another contract. And if that becomes an issue, of course, because they are no longer happy with the contract they did 2 years out or 3 years out. The other thing is the players who aren't getting the same treatment, they feel shunned, and then it creates a dissension within the locker room. So there are multi-layers to this. Our big belief is being consistent, and when you're consistent within an organization with your negotiating and your approach, it seems to really do well, at least in our experience here.
And usually, though, sometimes the quarterback is the exception. Matt Ryan signed through 2018. Are you already looking down the road for 2019 right now, where he's an unrestricted free agent, Thomas?
Yeah, I think quarterbacks can be looked at that way at times. We have, of course, we're looking at him. We factor him in on a lot of our moves, and we're again in the process of looking at Devonta Freeman, of course, as we just mentioned. There are other people on our roster that are going to be big ticket guys coming up soon. We're always factoring in where our quarterback will be, and whether we do that next year or the year after or whenever it is, he's going to be a big part of how we're putting together our long-term plan, of course. So sometimes that can happen, of course, with a quarterback. I do understand that.
Well, I don't want to influence anything, but is it possible when you have these conversations, you put in the contract, he must refer to himself as the Mattrel, which is my nickname for him, and not Matty Ice? Can you put that in writing for me in his contract, Thomas?
We'll try. I was even thinking there was one day you were going to send a T-shirt here or something that he could make sure that he's trumpeting your nickname, because it is the best. It's the best one that's ever been created.
Thank you, Thomas. I would do it, but I don't believe him. He's too nice a guy, and he's one of those guys who's probably the worst liar in the world, because I don't believe him that he really likes it. I don't believe him.
He is not a good liar, that's for sure. He fidgets, and he's not a good liar. I agree with you.
Now, Thomas, last question for you here, okay? And this could be the most important question I've asked you. You've watched me blossom as a runner year by year at the Combine, as you know.
I have.
You are a man who is a talent evaluator of the highest order. So you've seen it. You know what beats inside. And in Atlanta, there's a new mascot for the Braves known as the Freeze, who runs people down on the warning track after getting a 200-foot head start. If I said for charity, okay, that I would do this, do you think I could beat the Freeze? Yes or no?
It would be tough. But I'd love to see you do it. And I think, in the name of charity, look,
yes.
you are so philanthropic in so many ways, and I know you're such a soulful person.
Mm-hmm.
And look, the reality is, when I watch you and how you have evolved as a sort of fleet of foot track man. I'm really impressed, and I think you continue to get better as you age, like a fine wine, violin, or whatever it is. You continue to impress me. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in that setting. Let's just put it that way. And after, we'll reward you appropriately.
Okay. Brockman, new poll question at Rich Eisen Show. Who's a worse liar, Matt Ryan or Thomas Dimitroff?
Got it.
Can we do that, please?
Throwing it up.
Put that. Who's worse at lying? My gosh.
All I know, it is a highlight of my Combine to watch that. I actually stay around in our suite to see you run at the end of the Combine.
The stirring conclusion. Yeah, I hear you. Thomas, enjoy your downtime. You deserve it, okay? And we'll chat soon.
As always, I appreciate you. Thank you, Rich.
You bet. That's Thomas Dimitroff.
The Rich Eisen Show. Weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that video, be sure to download our app, and I'll be sure to move Week 6 games to Saturday for that wedding you have to go to.